Okay. Well, maybe. A moment. There we go. All right. Hello, everyone, and we are once again live. Welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. I, first of all, should apologize for the slightly late start. Taking a drink, making sure everything was set up. Everything appears to be set up. And trying to, vamp over some of the intro music once again. I was, hoping and planning to actually be in the game by the time I went live, but loading took a little while. It's okay, it happens. Anyway, welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. Thanks for joining me again. Tonight, as I said in the post, as you'll find in the description, our plan is to finally make a decision and decide with the mages. We're going to be helping the rebel mages in hopes that they will help us close the breach. That whole shebang. That's going to involve one of the more elaborate quests of this game. Hey, Kevin. Good to see you. And it's one of the better ones. One of the better design quests, honestly, as well. Oh my. My microphone is in frame. Bizarre. Let me scooch that a little bit. There. Better. All right. I know a lot of people, that's a stylistic thing, that the microphone is in frame. I just don't like it, because I never have. I've never had the microphone in frame. Like, I always did this thingy. But with it being over there now, it feels strange having it in the frame. I don't know. If and when I use this thing for recording proper videos sitting over in the chair, or the armchair over there, it certainly will be in frame almost unavoidably. But that's a little different. I might also do the annoying little thing that I know some relatively annoying vlogger types will occasionally do, and just hold the microphone near my face while recording. But I kind of don't want to do that. I use my hands too much to talk. Anyway, we are back to Redcliffe. I went and equipped some people. I got Vivienne a new outfit that's even more ostentatious than her previous one, with the shoulders and the collar, and she doesn't have proper pants from certain angles, but I promise it's fine. Or maybe those are pants. Maybe they're just... Yeah, no, those are just leg-colored pants. The boots. Oh, well. And, of course, I got Blackwall, cool new armor. Anyway, so let's check out the Chantry. For old time's sake, we were here back in Origins. I want to check this place out, see what there is to see before we go jumping into the meeting we're supposed to have. Ooh, the hero Ferelden belonged to the Circle of Magi in Ferelden, residing in the tower at Lake Calenhad for most of his life. You remember the rest of the story, presumably. It's not going to let me read it. All right. The Chantry is not in the best of states, is it? Troubles of a Scholar. Talking about the difficulty of historical study, especially at a turbulent time. Again, something interesting that, again, all these little codex entry things, I'd be happy to read if you guys would like. I'll happily take the time to go through some of these. If there's anything that in particular catches your eye, I'll happily look through it. Go back over and read it. Nothing I need. Worth selling, though. Ooh, planned weave. Yeah, that's odd that there's a dagger stored away, a double-sided dagger stored away in the behind the altar. But well, what are you gonna do? It's not like this was ever Liliana's Chantry or anything, but all right. Anyway, now that we are going to be siding with the mages, officially, knock that loose. I did. Uh-oh, knock something loose. Hold on. There we go. Now that we are officially going to be siding with the mages at this point, we're basically at the point of no return here. That is going to involve some of the Tivinters, the Tivinter Magisters, in that thumbnail. Oh, Kevin loves the stained glass windows. I love the churchy aesthetics in this game.
I'll be the first to believe.
The religious aesthetics in this game are spectacular. They actually have, first of all, a consistent art style. It's very reminiscent of sort of early Renaissance Europe, but that also is, first of all, very regional. They managed to do a nice job making it very regional, but also the art, the actual artistry that goes into so much of the iconography, the religious iconography, is just gorgeous. It's very, very impressive. One of my thumbnails a while ago was a triptych, like a full, incredibly high definition, 3-part triptych, which basically told the story of Andraste. It's that kind of effort you don't see as a background thing that will appear one time as a loading screen most of the time. You know? That's just... And it's really, really well done in a fairly good classical style. Not classical, medieval, not classical, but you get the point.
I'm trying. I hope I don't disappoint.
I hope so too.
Well, we have people who are at least somewhat sympathetic to the Inquisition and to the Inquisitor and to the Herald of Andraste and the whole story behind it.
What are your feelings on the mages working with Tevinter?
The Imperium burned Andraste. Since then, we have led 4 exalted marches against them.
Can you guys hear the game audio okay?
In all those marches, they still acknowledged the Maker. Now I speak of him and the Magisters laugh. Something has happened, and I dread to learn what.
So the Tevinters are starting to apostatize and be edgy atheists, I see. Or, as we may find out, this isn't much of a spoiler, they're splitting their time between being edgy atheists and being edgy neo-pagans. Just, oh man. Tevinters, man. I really picked the right faces for the thumbnail today.
Are you working for the Mage Rebellion?
Mages are children of the Maker, no less than the rest of us.
Okay, cool.
They struggle no less with questions of faith.
Does that mean you support their freedom?
Given a choice between the circle and death, most mages willingly gave up some small freedoms for safety. But the pendulum swings, and now it seems any restraint is too much. I think they should have a chance to prove they deserve freedom.
It's that ratcheting effect, right? Giving up a little freedom for safety happens over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until it's all gone. The great little clip that I'm reminded of from Jordan Peterson's speech, I forget where he said this. I know it was in an interview, but I forget who with. I'll see if I can find it. Even if it's the meme version where it's Kermit the Frog saying it, but whatever. Where he points out how tyranny happens is that they'll push you just a little further than you should go, and then you'll push back, but not as far as when we started, and then they'll back off. So when they push you, you'll resist, but you won't push it back to where it was. And then later on, they'll push you a little bit further than you want to go, a little bit further than you should be willing to go. But then they'll back off because you get angry about it. And then they'll push you again, and then they'll push you again over the course of years, decades, generations, until you're a slave. And that's all there is to it. And I mean, I would say, hey, look at the world around us today, hurdy-hurdy-hurdy, and talk about current events and, COVID tyranny and all that stuff. But it's more than that. It is a trend across history. And that, I think, is really Peterson's biggest point about this, is that the kind of tyranny that we're seeing glimpses of here and there around the country, and even more so around the world, it's nothing new. I mean, this particular reason with these particular methods, sure, new, whatever. Yes, there's new methods, there's new tools available for the tyrants, but the tried and true methodology is never changing. Never changes. It's always the same kind of pattern. Let me write this down first, because I do want to remember to get this. Let's see.
I don't see any other priests in the village. Where is everybody?
The Magister had the others escorted out for their own safety, but I refused. He can throw me out if he wants. Until then, I tend to my flock.
Very respectable.
I will leave you to your duties.
Kevin says, I'm going to jump right in, because it's burning in my brain. I'm curious as to the philosopher's perspective on religious sincerity. How do you know that you're acting loving God and not just thinking and behaving in a self-preserving manner? Meaning, how do I distinguish between love of God and, say, fear of hell? That sort of thing.
Make her watch over you.
I think the main part of it is that acting purely out of fear of hell is a trap. It's necessarily doomed to fail for its own sake. Right? If that the only way to avoid hell is to not be concerned about it. And so if you're acting out of fear of hell, then you're not going to avoid hell. Because acting out of fear, unless it is fear of the Lord in the sense of willful obedience, then if it's just, I will do these things in order to avoid punishment, you're not developing virtue. And that's obvious. It's not something that you can accidentally do. Now, it can be a starting point. It can be where you start to develop virtue, to get yourself into the actual physical habits of doing things like participating in the sacramental life and stuff like that. But it's not something that you can really accidentally screw up.
Very well.
Because it is so self-defeating. And because it's so self-defeating, it'll usually, almost certainly be self-defeating in this life. You'll lose your faith if it is purely driven by fear, because it won't be going anywhere. It won't be taking you anywhere. It'll just be pushing you away from certain things, but it's not going to be keeping, like sin, right? Grave sin, that kind of thing, maybe. But it's not going to be pulling you towards virtue. And so it's going to be a basically impossible task. So it's self-defeating in the long term, right? Obviously, large scale, sort of soteriologically, but it's also self-defeating in the short term in terms of development of virtue. I don't think it's a serious concern because it's so self-defeating, but it's not a serious concern, I don't think, to fall into accidentally. So if you're worried about it, I think that means that you don't need to be. Or that it can be just simply avoided like that. If you're self-aware enough to notice it, then you're already concerned enough and self-aware enough to turn it around with honestly minimal effort, I would say, or at least I'd hope. It's not something that I personally struggle with, so I can only really speak to this in the abstract. So in terms of actual, particular concerns, I can't do too much there.
Make her watch over you.
Are you a Chantry sister?
A lay sister only. I work here to help the poor and extend the Maker's kindness to those who need it. It is very busy work, especially in these times, but let me know if I can ever help you.
Farewell.
Walk with the Maker.
Weird. Weird given that over there is supposed to be the only Chantry sister. Then again, there's a bunch of these too, so, yeah, I don't know. Kevin says, well, not just fear of hell, and maybe not even primarily, but just, but like the living out one's faith, like how you live life, is it normal to continually regard the advantage to the self even when considering service to others? Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. I see what you mean. Yeah, that's fine. I would say that that's not a problem at all. I would almost say that is a good thing. That's a benefit. That there is. Let me put it this way. This relates very closely, I think, to my, a couple of things I was talking about in the third of my On the Fall of the Devil lectures, where I was talking about this dichotomy that Ansem sets up between justice and advantage. I'll address that in a moment.
What
Let's see.
world is this? That demons and brigands stop a man from taking flowers to his wife's shrine?
What if I took flowers to your wife's shrine for you?
I do not know what to say, except thank you. I never expected anyone not of the blood to care. My Senna would be grateful. Her shrine lies on a hill to the west, near the tablstones. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Walk in peace.
I mean, this is an example. Is one of the again. It shows the importance of place, and physicality, and ritual. That's very easily forgotten by the sort of modern materialist Gnostics. Which is a weird combination, but yeah. Anyway, to Kevin's point, to go back to what you were saying, right? I think that before we go in here, I think that there is a real and significant and strong dichotomy between justice and advantage. That is an important distinction to make, and I think Anselm's right to make it, that there are often cases where we have to choose between doing the right thing and doing the thing that is advantageous to us, the thing that'll benefit us. And those are morally significant decisions. Like that's what the decision was that led to Satan's fall. And by Anselm's reading, at least, that's what the decision was that led to Adam's fall, and our fall, therefore, as well. That said, most of the time, the two coincide. And in fact, they always coincide for the good angels. Everything just that they can possibly will also be for their own advantage, and vice versa. Which is why they can only ever will the good. Because everything, even things that will benefit them, even things that are advantageous, are also just, are also in alignment with God's will. There is the flip side of that there is the danger of things being only such that you can only will for the sake of advantage, and that justice becomes out of the picture, because anything you could will would be unjust. Even if you were to try to will justice, it would be only purely for your own advantage, rather than for justice. So you can get caught into that, and that's what hell really is by Anselm's reading. But most of the time, neither of those is the case. Most of the time, what we do is both advantageous to ourselves, advantageous to others, and just. And it is at least, if not just, at least not unjust. Kevin says, I'm worried about it. I'm thinking that perhaps I was trapped in a sort of self-centered headspace. Possibility. Psychologically, that is a possibility, and that is I would think, and I'm no spiritual director, I'm no priest, but I think that would be something like venial sin, where you are doing the right thing, but not primarily for the right reason, or the right reasons. That said, in most cases, when we do something for our own advantage, it is also just, unless we're doing something wrong. If we're doing something just, and it also happens to benefit us, there's nothing wrong with that. That's interesting. My game crashed. So I'll keep talking about this while I try desperately to reset. Well, darn. Hold on. Give me a minute, guys. Sorry about that. That was awkward. Anyway, but yeah, it's I think that there can be an issue where you are pursuing your own advantage rather than justice. But it only becomes a moral problem when you're pursuing your own advantage at the expense of or in opposition to justice. Right? If you're doing what is right, even if it benefits you, that is, at worst, morally neutral. It's just not meritorious. It certainly can't be wrong, sinful, certainly not gravely sinful. Now, if you're doing something that happens to, that benefits you but happens to be just incidentally, not because it's just, but just because it's there, So yeah, Kevin asks, how does the motivation factor in? I think that's the question, right? That's what I was about to try and address, at least I think. Is that if you are motivated by selfish advantage, then I would say that the action is not meritorious, but that it's not wrong, right? That it's still just, it is still the right thing to do, but you just don't get, put it really crassly, you don't get the right moral credit for it. To maybe put it in more appropriate terms, it's that, yes, it's a good thing to do, and there is a habit being formed of doing things that are just and doing things that are helpful to others, but you're not forming the habit qua justice. You're forming the habit qua this particular kind of action. So you're not forming the virtue of justice, you're forming the virtue of doing this particular thing that also happens to help people. Right. So it's a good thing that you're doing them, but it's not as helpful for the development of virtue as doing justice for the sake of justice. That is sum total virtuous. That is both virtuous and just, and it is conducive to the development of the moral virtue of justice. So that is, I think, the difference. The difference is that doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, not for evil reasons, but for morally neutral reasons. Let's say, doing the right thing for morally neutral reasons is still good, but it's far less good, insofar as it's far less helpful to the development of your virtue. That's what I think I would say. So then you can also even to mitigate this, I think that you could probably even try to just reconsider your actions under the aegis of justice, or consider them quad just rather than quad advantageous. Is this going to break again? Oh no. Uh-oh. It seems to have frozen at the same spot. If I don't move, it might be okay. Maybe if okay, well, it died again. Okay, give me a minute. I'm gonna try... Here, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try launching it without mods. If only for this little segment. Because I don't have anything that it'll break. So I'll launch it, do this little segment without mods, then I'll probably exit back out again. So sorry for the interruption, but it gives us time to talk. I'll do this little segment without any mods installed. I have 2 separate launchers for it, so it's nice and convenient. And then I'll jump back out, jump back in once I can get a new save past this conversation. Kevin says maybe it's more of an inner struggle running parallel to the doing justice, for example. A person does a good thing for another person for their sake, but considers the regard of others in it. So there is another factor at play here, right? Justice is not necessarily the same as love, right? What you're talking about is willing the good of the other for the sake of the other. And that's its own separate virtue, and that's important to remember. Justice is doing something good simply because it is good. There are some philosophers who have argued that justice is therefore not the highest virtue, and that love is. So that is an important distinction to make. Not what you were getting at, but it's an important distinction that we should make there. Because what you're talking about is not the development of justice, but the development of love. And it is harder to do that universally.
Welcome, agents of the Inquisition.
Oh, good, it's working.
First enchanter Vivienne?
My dear Fiona, it's been so long since we last spoke. You look dreadful. Are you sleeping well?
What has brought you to Redcliffe?
Not even going to answer her question. Okay. I don't know if that answered your question, Kevin, fully. I don't think it did, but it was a distinction worth making. I do think that it is... So the development of virtue is always an interior struggle. It is always going to involve not only actions, but the impetus for those actions being right. Right? You have to do the right action, and you have to be doing it for the right reason in order for it to sort of count for both for moral credit, but then also for the development of virtue. Right? Because if you're not doing something because it's just, or in this case because it's loving, then you're forming a different habit, right? And while that might not be a bad habit, it might even be a good habit, right? So eating healthy, for example, there's nothing just about healthy eating, other than insofar as you have an obligation to yourself, right, to treat your body well or something like that. Right? Eating healthily, even if your sole motivation is for your own well-being, there's nothing wrong with that, so long as you don't fall into a kind of gluttony. In general, though, right, eating healthily is neither virtuous nor vicious, but it is a useful habit. So it is a sort of what I forget if this language is actually from. Yes, it is. This is a bit of language from SCOTUS, but it's through translation, so it's a weird translation of it. So forgive the wackiness soundingness of this, but it is a kind of micro prudence or a prudence. Right? The virtue of prudence or practical wisdom is divided up into a bunch of different little habits, things that are beneficial and things that are useful and good and all of that, but they are particular rather than universal. Practical wisdom isn't universal according to a lot of philosophers, SCOTUS primarily, Aristotle as well, and he gets this from Aristotle, obviously. But that this particular good habit is a good thing, but it's nothing to do with justice, right? You're not becoming more just or more loving or more courageous by choosing to eat well, right? And yeah, I think Kevin says maybe this is exactly why the Lord taught us to do alms in secret. Yeah, it's so you're not expecting, so you don't get caught up trying to do something good for the sake of what you'll get from it. In this case, it would be for the sake of reputation or praise or vainglory, that sort of thing. Which again, reputation is not a bad thing. Vainglory is, right? So it's not a bad thing for people to think highly of you appropriately, right? If somebody thinks that you give a lot to charity because you do, and they think that makes you a good person, well, maybe they're right, and that's not a problem. The problem comes when your motivations get flipped, and you are starting to give to charity so that people will think you're a good person, right? If people's perceptions of you are correct, are aligned with reality, there's nothing wrong with that. And you acknowledging that is a benefit from what you're doing there's nothing wrong with that either. But when that becomes your primary motivation, that can either become morally neutral and it can eliminate the good of the action of almsgiving, or it can be a kind of pride. You're acting out of a vice rather than a virtue in that case, right? And that would be the real problem. Kevin says, I'll be a bit transparent for a moment. I was at adoration and a cute girl comes in and my brain automatically says, hey, maybe she'll think you're a good man and get interested, lol. I mean, like, okay, so in that specific example, that doesn't seem like a problem to me, right? Because you were at adoration. It's not like you are going so that she will think you're a good man and become interested, right? You were noticing and pursuing, but primarily you were just noticing and let's say celebrating a good result of an already good action. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So you can say, I have, for example, I have an obligation under justice to teach my classes. When my students, for example, laugh at my retarded jokes, not my jokes about the retarded that would be horrifyingly inappropriate for the classroom. But no, my jokes, which are stupid, my terrible dad jokes and things like that, the things that when I'm writing on the board and I tell a joke and then I go, before I continue, that sort of thing, and students actually laugh, I like that. I like the affirmation that provides, and it tells me that I'm doing something, I'm entertaining my students, things that I don't have to do under justice. There's no particular obligation I have to be funny. But I enjoy the fact that I am funny sometimes. Another example, I have mostly stellar student reviews. There are a lot of professors who talk down on student reviews for one of two reasons. One, and this actually speaks to that whole what are your real motivations thing. One reason why a lot of professors talk down on them is because that they don't actually, especially the just the score given, they don't necessarily track with quality of education. Because students want you to give an easy class. They don't want you to challenge them necessarily. So, students aren't always great evaluators of what makes a good class. So there's problem number one. However, most professors, if I'm to be perfectly honest, at the expense of being charitable, a lot of professors who complain and disregard student evaluations don't do it for that reason. They do it because students don't like them and make that thought known publicly through their evaluations. So when I say, hey, I have great student evaluations, and hey, that helps my hiring prospects, and hey, that helps me negotiate a raise, and hey, that just, feels good that students like what I'm doing, right? All those things are a good thing. The problem would arise if I started teaching for the sake of positive student evaluations, rather than for the sake of educating. Does that clear anything up? I kind of went on a me tangent about a you question. I feel like that might be indicative of some vices of mine. But yeah, let me know if I should elaborate on this further. I think it's a fascinating topic. I think it's a really interesting topic, and it's one that I think was very closely related to some of the stuff that we were talking about in on the Fall of the Devil. So she invited us here from Valrio, but then has no idea why we're here. This is sketchy.
Is this some sort of test? We're here because you invited us in Valrio.
You must be mistaken. I haven't been to Valrio since before the Conclave.
Well, that's very strange, because someone who looked exactly like you spoke to me in Valrio.
Exactly like me? I suppose it could be magic at work, but why would anyone... Whoever or whatever brought you here? The situation has changed. The free mages have already pledged themselves to the service of the Tevinter Imperium.
Fiona, dear, your dementia is showing.
Andraste's ass. I'm trying to think of a single worse thing you could have done, and I've got nothing.
As one indentured to a magister, I no longer have the authority to negotiate with you.
Great. I guess I wish I could get workers' comp for this workplace back injury. If anyone wants to donate to workers' comp for Erica's back injury, go to ko-fi.com/Professor McCoy and throw money at her. But otherwise, I will make you a wonderful tea when we're done. That's something. We can try that. Yeah, so selling yourselves into indentured servitude to evil magisters. Okay, good idea. Great idea. Kevin says, so that makes sense. It's perfectly natural to have those thoughts of possible advantage, but the error comes when the advantage becomes the object of motivation. Am I getting it? Yeah, something like that. And I will even say that that's not even necessarily... That's not an error in the sense of it necessarily developing vice, or it necessarily being morally condemnable. It's just, it's less than ideal. It's a deficiency And so therefore it is evil in the sense of falling short of what it ought to be. But it's not contrary to the good. It is perpendicular to the good, to use more spatial metaphors. Yeah, this was stupid. Pledging ourselves to the themselves to the magisters.
An alliance with Tevinter is a terrible mistake.
All hope of peace died with Justinia. This bargain with Tevinter would not have been my first choice, but we had no choice. We are losing this war. I needed to save as many of my people as I could.
Thank you on her behalf.
Welcome, my friends. I apologize for not greeting you earlier.
Agents of the Inquisition, allow me to introduce Magister Girion Alexius.
The Southern Mages are under my command. And you are the survivor, yes? The one from the Fade? Interesting.
I don't think I like you.
I haven't seen any sign of Redcliffe's Arl or his men.
The Arl of Redcliffe left the village.
Left? An Arl would never voluntarily leave his seat.
There were tensions growing. I did not want an incident.
I'd like to know more about this alliance between the rebel mages and the Imperium.
Certainly. What specifically do you wish to know?
The Grand Enchanter told me she was indentured to a Magister.
Our Southern brethren have no legal status in the Imperium. As they were not born citizens of Tevinter, they must work for a period of 10 years before gaining full rights. As their protector, I shall oversee their work for the Imperium.
Cool, you're mage slaves. Erica says it was a joke. It's due to wrangling kids while prego. Yeah, well, that still count. That's still work. And it's related. Because Michael doesn't make it easy for you these days. Very recently. He's been a little tornado lately, I'll tell you what. Yeah. He's recently learned a lot of new tricks that cause problems, like climbing out of things and over things. He's learned to catch the cats, usually successfully. I'm surprised. He's learned to take off his diaper and pee everywhere. That's a new one. Don't love it. God's patience be with you as well. Yeah, amen. Amen. Don't get me wrong, he's still adorable. But man, he's got some trouble in him. I'd like to say he's learning it from his sister, which might actually be true, but you know, I don't know.
What does the Imperium gain from taking rebel mages under its wing?
For the moment, the Southern Mages are a considerable expense. After they are properly trained, they will join our legion.
You said not all my people would be military. There are children, those not suited.
And one day I'm sure they will all be productive citizens of the Imperium when their debts are paid.
Great. I've altered the deal. Pray that I don't alter it further.
I'm not clear on when exactly you negotiated this arrangement with Fiona.
When the Conclave was destroyed, these poor souls faced the brutality of the Templars, who rushed to attack them. It could only be through divine providence that I arrived when I did.
It was certainly very timely.
You're quite a long way from Tevinter, Alexius.
Indeed I am. Though I have heard you are no Ferelden either. It seems we are both strangers here.
I kind of like their mage robes.
Please. Pardon my manners. My son Felix, friends.
I kind of really like their mage robes.
I'm not surprised you're here. Containing the breach is not a feat that many could even attempt. There is no telling how many mages would be needed for such an endeavor. Ambitious indeed.
With I like the leather pauldron things. It's neat.
Well, When you're fighting a massive tear in the sky, you can hardly afford to think small.
There will have to be. Felix.
I'm so sorry. Please forgive my clumsiness, my lady.
Are you all right?
I'm fine, Father.
Come, I'll get your powders. Please excuse me, friends. We will have to continue this another time. Fiona, I require your assistance back at the castle.
I don't mean to trouble everyone.
I shall send word to the Inquisition. We will conclude this business at a later date.
Come to the Chantry. You are in danger.
More
Ooh, very mysterious.
We'll be careful, but we need to figure out what's going on here.
Rose the Queen Madrigal. So about Tiva. Let's talk to some of the mages while we're here. Eric has just said this dude is going to mysteriously die and have the only confirmation that the mage is selling themselves, right? I don't know. Listen. Let me put it this way. So that, well, no evidence of willing slavery, oh well. I mean, you're onto something, but like I mentioned before, this quest is the most wild... I said well-developed. What I meant was it's wild and crazy and absolutely insane. Incredibly complicated and convoluted. Man, is it interesting. It's... if you haven't seen or played this before, is it good? There's a lot going on here. We'll see.
Magister Alexius does not approve of those without magic like you and me. You may not wish to stay long. Many villagers have already left to escape his ire.
So, he doesn't approve of those without magic. That's a little... There's some Tevinter bigotry there.
This village has a history with mages, doesn't it? Do you know the details?
During the last blight, the Arl of Redcliffe became ill. Not even the efforts of the Circle could save him. His young son, who was an undiscovered mage, made a deal with a demon to keep the Arl from death.
I remember that.
The boy became an abomination. Through him, each night, the demon raised armies of corpses to assault the village. The hero of Ferelden defeated the demon and stopped the undead hordes from destroying Redcliffe.
He seems more emotive than some of the previous Tranquil we've met have been.
What does the Magister have against you?
He does not like to be reminded of what mages can become. He says all Tranquil must leave Redcliffe, but who would take us in?
You're one of the Tranquil?
Yes, my talent for magic was insufficient to protect me from demons. Rather than risk me becoming possessed, the Circle removed my connection to the Fade. My magic is gone, along with my dreams and desires. Those now in Redcliffe prefer not to see us.
This is another element that I've mentioned before. I didn't even realize this because I hadn't read the books before, but this reminds me that this is another element that was heavily inspired by the Wheel of Time. The taking magic away from people and them gradually going mad because of it when they become a danger to themselves or to others. Neat. It's a neat element, and it's a little bit horrifying, but it's one of those tragic responses to a danger of the world. Because, being possessed by a demon is probably a lot worse. So, that's at least something. Kevin says, I blame Robert Greene for some of my internal anxiety regarding motivation. The 48 Laws of Power presents a cynical view of the self and others. I'm not familiar with it. The title, the name I can't place. The title, 48 Laws of Power, sounds vaguely familiar, but not specifically. You might have to elaborate more if I'm going to comment, at least too extensively.
How long have the Tevinters been here?
Magister Alexius arrived at nightfall, 2 days after we retreated from the Temple of Sacred Ashes.
2 days.
He forced anyone without magic out of the castle, save those he required to serve him. Even the Arl was sent away.
2 days.
Farewell, then.
One moment. You are a member of the Inquisition, are you not? I am an alchemist. You must require potions. If the Magister will not have me here, perhaps I can offer my services.
Sure.
We would be delighted to have you working for the Inquisition.
Thank you. While one lives, it is good to believe there is still a use for one's talents.
Awesome. I will... Okay, so... 2 days, huh? So, Alexius arrived 2 days after the mages got here, which must have been very shortly after the explosion of the Conclave. It can't have been that long after. And Tevinter is very far away. It's probably weeks of travel. And remember, one of the, iron laws of magic in this setting is that travel cannot be augmented by magic. You cannot move from place to place magically, except by perhaps speeding yourself up, like making yourself lighter or something like that. But beyond that, there's no, teleportation or even flight, unless you're going to transfigure yourself. So the fact that he got here 2 days, maybe a little more, but within a very few days of the first indication that he would need to be here, is incredibly sketchy. We'll see why.
We don't need your kind.
We'll see why.
Your Inquisition's just Templars by another name.
No, we're not. We're fighting them too. Kevin says it's sort of a conglomeration of ideas regarding the interplay of power dynamics between people and an instruction of how to use strategies to gain advantage over others. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's very socially underhanded, it seems. It's that whole, how to win friends and manipulate people kind of strategery type thing. Is that, I'm getting the right idea here? Yeah, that having that kind of knowledge can itself be corrupting. And I can see that. And that's kind of Tolkien's lesson of the ring. It's not even the use of power that can corrupt oneself. It is the availability of power that can do so. And that's the kind of power which is direct, which is power over other people, specifically over other people, that can be innately corrupting, I think.
You'd rather bow to Tevinter than join the Inquisition.
All you Chantry types think the same way. The Imperium is a great evil that must be avoided.
Yes.
It's just because they're ruled by mages.
No.
No one wants us to look at them and say they're
Mostly the slavery thing.
The world hasn't ended.
It's more the slavery thing.
But don't Magisters summon demons and practice human sacrifice?
Oh yeah, that stuff too.
Chantry
Forgot.
says whatever they think will scare us. What's wrong with blood magic?
The whole demon
don't like
thing.
The idea of us controlling their thoughts. But
And
they
that
have
too.
No problem with us throwing fireballs in their wars. In Tevinter, the mages police themselves. It works.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Blood magic allows you to control the thoughts of other people. So exactly what, Kevin, you're talking about. So the very existence of this power and the very availability of this power can be innately corrupting. And that's, I think, a large part of why demons are both attracted to blood mages, and blood mages are particularly susceptible to demonic possession. Because of course they are. It is that particular kind of power, which is very distinct from a kind of militaristic power, power over someone, power to destroy, rather than power to control, that while that line can be blurred sometimes when you use the power to destroy in order to coerce, but the direct power to control has this innately corrupting influence. that just so happened to be the same thing that we were just talking about with Kevin's comments about the 48 laws of power, that sort of thing.
I'm here because I believe mages deserve their freedom.
Right. And I'm the Empress of Orlais.
Alright, well, it was worth a try. Alright, let's see what else. What's that? What in the world? Is that a critter? Or is it a statue of a critter? It looks like a critter. Yeah. Maybe it's stuffed. I don't know.
Inquisition, huh? I wish to Holy Andraste you'd gotten here sooner. These Tevinters make my shoulder blades itch.
Kevin says, I took interest in it when I was younger, and it's always been a curiosity to me, but there's always an instinctive inner disgust at the implications of core philosophy. Yeah, and that's true. And I mean, the closest thing I was particularly interested in was, I had a little phase, and I'm sad Eddie is not here, because he still isn't. I think he may not be over the same phase. But I had a phase in like middle school maybe, when I was into things like fortune telling. Divination kind of stuff. And it's not the same type of power. It is a kind of cheated knowledge. It's an assurance of something that one ought not to be assured of. And even if it is true, even if it turns out to be true, and even if the information is somehow legitimate, that manner of assurance, pardon me, that manner of assurance is a kind of temptation to place one's trust and one's faith where it doesn't belong, primarily in oneself and in superstitions. And it's a similar type of thing to the ability to manipulate others psychologically and socially is, while itself it's not a power, it's not like it's magic, but the reliance upon it can be this same kind of danger. And it can develop into a kind of superstition as well. Yeah.
You're not happy with this new alliance?
Something's not right.
I need to oil this chair.
They're not like us. Magic or no, I'd rather count myself among decent folk than stand with magisters.
Respect.
How did the Grand Enchanter end up working with Tevinter?
1 minute, we were bracing for the Templars to attack. The next, we had a Magister ally. It was a stroke of luck that's given us an edge. In a way. Out of the frying pan.
Alright.
Goodbye.
Be careful. The Tevinters likely aren't happy you're asking questions.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure Vivienne isn't pleased with this. I mean, we know Vivienne isn't pleased with this. She said as much, basically. Annulment of Daresmut. Oh, an annulment in this case is the complete elimination, the complete slaughter of a circle of magi. Seers and Allsmeet. Another meeting for another potential alliance. What's here? Yeah, nothing here. Right. All right. So I also am. I'm drinking a Rob Roy tonight. One of my favorite little cocktails. It's something like a Scotch Manhattan. Very, very nice. After one of those revolutionary heroes of Scotland that there are so many of, that we all ought to love so very much. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is... I'm going to save really fast. And I'm going to exit. No, wait, no, I'm just going to close that way. And I'm going to relaunch, and I'm going to relaunch my mods. So if you'll excuse me for just a moment. Yeah, I will. I do highly recommend this sort of drink. It is 2 parts Scotch, 1 part sweet vermouth, or equal parts. So 2 parts Scotch, 1 part vermouth, and that can be either sweet or half and half dry and sweet. A dash of bitters. I use blood orange, but Anastoga works too. And the traditional garnish is an orange rind, which I don't have on me. So to go with the bitters. Alternatively, you can do maraschino cherries or whatever, or just on the rocks is fine. It's fantastic. It is a nice, simple drink. There's not a lot to it, but it just goes down so smooth. It's a favorite. It's a favorite nice, dark, ambery cocktail of mine. Very much in contrast with another favorite of mine, which is more the Florida in my bones. the Hemingway Daiquiri that you've seen probably on here before, that you've seen me have before, which is that unimaginably bright pink thing. Bright pink because of ruby red grapefruit juice. There's lime juice in it. There's there in as well, and there's dark rum. But then there's also maraschino liqueur, or it's the red stuff. Grenadine is the other option for it, and whichever, it turns the thing this bright pink, and it is the signature drink of one of the more famous Floridians, that being Ernest Hemingway. It's very good. Very, very tasty, especially on a nice hot summer day, or a nice hot winter day, as we're having. Like a high of 84 today, or something ridiculous. There's a cold wave coming through this weekend here, though. So that big cold wave that's coming down from up north, it's supposed to get down into the 30s again by next week, so that'll be nice. It's supposed to drop from 85 during the day, and then it's going to rain, and then it's going to be low, if I think 40 degrees, maybe even lower Sunday night. And the next week it'll be cold again, so that's good. Kevin says it really is better to live life doing good, and be honest with all the risk that entails, and being fully aware and accepting that risk. It's liberating. It's true. Speaking of good old American authors, attributed to Mark Twain, I don't know if truly or not, said something like, "Hi, mustache guy."
Good. You're finally here. Now help me close this, would you?
If you always tell the truth, you never have to remember anything. The idea being that you don't have to, you won't have to remember what lies you told. There we go. All right.
Fascinating. How does that work exactly?
Good question.
You don't even know, do you? You just wiggle your fingers and boom. Rift closes.
Something like that.
Who are you?
Ah, getting ahead of myself again, I see. Dorian of House Parvus, most recently of Minrathus. How do you do?
Let one Tevinter in. Suddenly they're scurrying out of all the walls like roaches.
Now, I'm ever so much more handsome than a cockroach. Magister Alexius was once my mentor, so my assistance should be valuable, as I'm sure you can imagine.
I love when you can combine self-deprecating and self-aggrandizing into the same comment. I really love those. That's just really nice and witty and clever.
Are you a magister?
All right, let's say this once. I'm a mage from Tevinter, but not a member of the Magisterium. I know Southerners use the terms interchangeably, but that only makes you sound like barbarians.
Oh my god. Yeah, that too. That too.
I was expecting Felix to be here.
I'm sure he's on his way. He was to give you the note, then meet us here after ditching his father.
Alexius couldn't jump to Felix's side fast enough when he pretended to be
Will
faint.
says gotta love Dorian's
Is
wit.
something
Yeah,
wrong with
100%.
him?
He's had
100%.
some lingering illness for months. Felix is an only child, and Alexius is being a mother hen, most likely.
You're betraying your mentor because...
Alexius was my mentor. Meaning he's not any longer. Not for some time. Look.
Will says also Vivian's got some roasts.
That
Jeez.
should be obvious, even without the note. Let's start with Alexius claiming the allegiance of the mage rebels out from under you. As if by magic, yes? Which is exactly right. To reach Redcliffe, before the Inquisition, Alexius distorted time itself.
I see. But yeah, I mean, Vivienne's weapons are words far more than they are spells. She is a courtier before she's a mage, really. And I think that really shows in exchanges like this. And this is why I like having Vivienne around. I don't often, because like I said, I usually play mage in this game, so I don't need multiple mages. And all three of the mages in this game, Vivienne, Solus, and now Dorian, who yes will become a party member, all three of them are fantastic companions. I'd love to have an all mage party. I'd get wrecked on anything but easy. So maybe not, but they're fantastic. So he's playing with time. So that's part of the mystery here. Part of it.
I hope that's less dangerous than it sounds.
More.
Oh, great.
Manipulating time itself? Many have attempted over the ages, but never once succeeded.
The rift you closed here. You saw how it twisted time around itself, sped some things up and slowed others down. Soon, there will be more like it, and they'll appear further and further away from Redcliffe. The magic Alexius is using is wildly unstable, and it's unraveling the world.
I'd like more proof than magical time control go with it.
I know what I'm talking about. I helped develop this magic. When I was still his apprentice, it was pure theory. Alexius could never get it to work. What I don't understand is why he's doing it, ripping time to shreds just to gain a few hundred lackeys.
He didn't do it for them.
Took you long enough. Is he getting suspicious?
No, but I shouldn't have played the illness card. I thought he'd be fussing over me all day. My father's joined a cult, Tevinter supremacists. They call themselves Venatori. And I can tell you one thing. Whatever he's done for them, he's done it to get to you.
Will says all mage party is viable only late game, except for the Descent DLC. That thing's hard no matter what the party. Yes, I agree with that, especially that latter statement. I can see why it would work late game, especially once you have your specializations and such. Especially if you go, what's the melee thing? The thing Vivienne gets. Once you have that, you can actually have her more or less tank, kind of. So it kind of works, and then you have enough CC to keep people away from you. I can see it working. I can see it working late game once you have your build done. But yeah, Descent, no. You need a tank. You need a tank. You need Blackwall in particular.
Alexius is your father. Why are you working against him?
For the same reason Dorian works against him. I love my father, and I love my country. But this? Cults? Time magic? What he's doing now is madness.
Yep.
For his own sake. You have to stop him.
It would also be nice if he didn't rip a hole in time. There's already a hole in the sky.
Whatever that means, rip a hole in time. Then again, ripping a hole in the sky isn't something that we thought could happen either, so...
Why would he rearrange time and indenture the Mage Rebellion just to get to me?
They're obsessed with you, but I don't know why. Perhaps because you survived the Temple of Sacred Ashes.
You can close the rifts. Maybe there's a connection. Or they see you as a threat.
If the Venatori are behind those rifts or the breach in the sky, they're even worse than I thought.
All this for me. And here I didn't get Alexius anything.
Send him a fruit basket. Everyone loves those. You know you're his target. Expecting the trap is the first step in turning it to your advantage. I can't stay in Redcliffe. Alexius doesn't know I'm here, and I want to keep it that way for now. But whenever you're ready to deal with him, I want to be there. I'll be in touch. Oh, and Felix, try not to get yourself killed.
There are worse things than dying, Dorian.
Premonition. All right. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so let's go do that. Go do some questing. Because this is the quest. This is the big choose the mages kind of quest. Unless you think we should really choose the Templars still. I mean, I don't know if it's point of no return.
Really need cults? Aren't they weird enough?
Can we trust Dorian and Felix? I'm not sure who to believe here.
Oh,
You're
this
from
is
the
the
Inquisition?
husband?
I didn't think you'd
No.
still be here. Were you really looking to ally with us?
Is that so hard to believe?
Everyone blames us. The Templars left the Chantry too. That's worse, isn't it? They took an oath. Yet everyone calls it the Mage Rebellion. We're the ones they hate. What choice did we have? Stay and be slaves?
There are better
Well
ways
done,
than
Erica.
war to affect change.
I didn't get
hope
it.
you can do something. Tying ourselves to Tevinter. That can't be the right way to end this.
You don't approve of the Grand Enchanter's decision?
I was there when we voted to leave the Circle. She really seemed to care what we wanted. She was ready to rebel, but she wasn't going to unless it was the will of all mages. It's hard to believe she'd go behind our backs and sell us to the Magisters.
Take care of yourself.
Gotta be something else involved there.
I never thought the Grand Enchanter would swear to a Magister.
Kevin says my favorite kind of humor, mean. So Eric's joke, get it? Because he's a fruit. Get it? Because, hey guys, I don't know if you knew this. Dorian's gay. See, it becomes a big deal gradually. Honestly, it's dealt with fairly well. It's not like this game was 2014. Let me put it that way. It was before the world changed in like 2015-ish. So it's it could have been a lot more in your face and a lot more obnoxious. But they actually do make it into an interesting plotline and stuff that we'll wind up seeing some more of. There's some interesting plot developments that are actually about Dorian sexuality that are that I even find interesting, and I have very little tolerance for. I have very little well, tolerance is probably the right word. I have very little tolerance for that sort of thing. Erica says only someone with that mustache. It's true. I mean, if you couldn't figure it out based on the mustache, I don't know what you're looking at. Okay, we're back to Haven. Let's do the war table stuff. Actually, you know what? No. First, I want to make better armor for Varric, because we didn't do that. Forgot about that. His armor is annoyingly dumb looking. Not that it's bad, it just looks dumb. Let me see. I want to see what it looks like. Show me. Ugh, looks dumb. See, that's not bad. Yeah, awful. Okay, I'm going to have to go with that. because that's his normal look, and it looks right. Yeah, in 2014, yeah, Kevin says back then it was a novelty. Yeah, honestly, yeah, kind of true. Kind of true. Darn, some of these are much higher. I don't have enough of them. I have a lot of Druffalo. That'll work. He needs dexterity. What gives Constitution? Hammerstone. Be fine. Ooh, that's cool looking. Let's see. Oh, man. Lamb's wool. Plaid we. Velveteen looks good. Let's go with lamb's wool. That looks okay. That looks okay. All right. Cool. Let's equip it. Deveric. I can sell off that thing. What do I have here? I have a bunch of other stuff I can sell. All right, cool. All right. But yeah, oddly, I think you're right. It really was more of a novelty in 2014. Like Kevin says way back in the ye old days of 2014. Lol, man, so much has happened. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. That was, I will remind you, before Obergefell v. Hodges. That was before the Supreme Court legalized gay marriage across the U.S. That happened in 2015. Just as a reminder. I will also say, though, that... what? Is the exclamation point for Blackwall? I guess. That we see a lot of people being incredibly indignant and, like, pretending not to understand views that they themselves held not 10 years ago, like less than 10 years ago, around 2014, but before 2015, really. This is especially the case with gender ideology, but even involving issues concerning sexuality and stuff like that. The perfect example of this is J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling's socio-political views, let's say, have not changed in 20 years. But now she's not just a pariah among the left, whereas 20 years ago she was a leftist, like an extreme leftist. Now she is unacceptable by anyone but far right. I mean, far right people, but still, like that alone is evidence that there has been an incredible shift in sort of public morality and common public morality in the last, I would say, 6 years, because I would put the change at 2015. I would really put the change at 2015.
I've heard rumors of abandoned warden camps all over these
15 to
parts.
16 really,
If we
but
have time,
15
I'd like
mostly.
to take a look, see if there's anything we can salvage.
Okay.
Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Ah, the Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem.
Okay.
The Blight's been over for 10 years. What do Wardens do when the world's not ending?
There are still Darkspawn. Just because we killed so many in Ferelden doesn't mean they're gone. And the world is not so peaceful that there's no use for good men with swords. Sometimes you have to figure out for yourself what the pledge to protect others really means. It's not always about just archdemons and blights.
Where were you during the Blight?
I was in Ferelden, on my own like always. Quietly killed my fair share of Darkspawn too.
Well, that would have been really handy if you'd hung out with the hero of Ferelden. Or would it have? Anyway, Kevin says it really is bizarre. We right wing folk have gained so. Yeah, I mean, no, like, we actually haven't gained people. We've probably lost people. We've gained so many unlikely allies. Not really. We've probably lost a lot of allies. It's just that the Overton window has shifted so far that they're our allies by default, but people who actually believe anything that's even remotely right-wing are fewer and fewer, just because of how far the Overton window has shifted and is continuing to shift. Will says that's true. Used to be a radical feminists were considered an enemy of most conservatives. Nowadays they're lumped in with them since they're anti-trans. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, TERFs, right? And if you listen to a lot of the trans-exclusionary radical feminists, the TERFs, J.K. Rowling and such, their rationale is still the same as it was 10 years ago when they were SJWs and enemies of the people, that whole thing, right? When we were making fun of them back then. Their views have not changed. Their arguments have not changed. Their rhetoric has not changed. It's exactly the same as it was. But the mainstream left has shifted so far that now they're allies of the right? It's strange. It's allies of the right who in an interview I was seeing not too long ago, by comparison to a lot of people, sane person, who's talking about female-only spaces, right? So bathrooms, changing rooms, things like that, places where women have their own spaces, right? Primarily for safety concerns, right? And the interviewer challenged her about, well, what about male-only spaces? You're not all right with things like gentlemen's clubs and country clubs and things like that, are you? And she's like, well, no. But that's not an issue of safety like female-only spaces are. And I'm just like, there it is. Now I remember why you're not actually an ally of the right, of freedom of association and things like that. No, they're still exactly the same views as we were arguing against 10 years ago. It's just now there are new people, there are new views on the field that we both happen to be aligned against. Just so happen to be aligned against. That's it. If it's an alliance, it's an alliance of temporary convenience. Speaking of temporary alliances.
Where the rest of the Wardens are.
Do you find that odd? The blight is over. We don't need an organized force.
You didn't have an organized force, if I recall.
Day to day. For the last 1,000 years or so, it's been just find Darkspawn, kill them, repeat as necessary.
Okay, fair point.
You haven't had contact with other Wardens for a while. Why were you on your own?
It's what I've always done. Recruitment only requires one man. Besides, I've always been a loner. Works best for everyone that way.
Let's continue this at another time.
As you wish. I'll be here if you need me.
All right, we'll do that eventually. Cool. It's another just sort of gradual side quest that we can pick up and do as we go. Kevin says, I have a dear friend who's very much a feminist, and she has actually evolved towards a more centrist and even center-right view on certain things through our friendship. It took years.
When there was no sky.
I mean, there are examples of that as well. Will says, now there are people even more unhinged than them. That's very true. But even, like, another example of this is the radical, like, the new atheists are somehow now the close allies of Christian conservatives. Again, simply because there are other foes that both are fighting. Like, the prototypical example of that is someone like Carl Benjamin, or Sargon of Akkad. He was one of those cringe atheists in the early onesies when I was in college that I was constantly arguing against and making fun of for being a cringe atheist and all of that. He was functionally an enemy. Ideologically not, like, Oh, darn it. Erica, kill it. But yeah, Carl Benjamin was not a voice of sanity and reason at the time. So when now he's one of the online voices that I really follow and I really appreciate, that's so bizarre. It's so bizarre. And even people like Richard Dawkins are coming around to an extent. But it's not like they've changed so extensively. Kind of, but not too extensively. That said, I mean, maybe they have, because there was I'll put a link in this to the description here. Because Carl Benjamin, in particular at least, has been oddly more and more friendly towards theism and even Christianity. And we see that there was a great interview he did earlier this year with Jonathan Pageau. And he was, it seemed to me, genuinely considering the possibility of faith in a way that I would have thought impossible, 5-10 years ago, for somebody like that. And so there is kind of a change that we're seeing. Maybe. There's hope. Let's put it that way. With the extremes getting so far apart, there is a kind of centrifuge happening where people are being pushed further into insanity and sanity, let's say. But then also maybe past sanity to something worse, perhaps. And there's a danger of that as well, so we have to be careful. But I think there is hope to be had.
Can I help you?
I'd like to know more about the Kunari.
You writing a book?
What I've heard about them sounds fascinating.
Oh, that's not how I put it, okay.
What you've heard was mostly horse shit.
Hmm.
All right. What do you want to know?
How do the Kunari rule themselves?
It's pretty simple. We've got the matriarchy, the priesthood, and the military. The priesthood figures out how Kunari should live in theory. The matriarchy makes it work in practice. And the military keeps the Kunari safe from outside threats.
Does it actually work like that? Is there much infighting?
Not like you're thinking of. People disagree, yeah, but the priests are there to solve disagreements. Here in Orlais, politicking comes from people putting their own gain ahead of the gains of society. If you do that among the Kunari, the Ben Hasrath set you straight. Or kill you.
I mean, now there's a Cyrillic bot in the chat. Detrick says, evening, as a left independent, I've tried to work with the right on policies. Unfortunately, too many prefer the company of warmongers and neocons. Don't I know it? Two-party system rots brains. Yeah, absolutely. It's awful. That is... The two-party duopoly. I prefer duopoly, right? Because the two parties, the mainstream of both parties, works together more than they work against each other. It's an old Lewis Black joke, who is one of my favorite comedians, by the way. Still funny. I really cut my teeth on him doing comedy like when I was in like early high school or so, I guess. He had a couple of Comedy Central specials that were great. But he was talking about the Democrats and Republicans, and one of his best lines is the only thing worse than a Democrat or a Republican is when the what was his term? Hold on. Oh, okay, it's when these little pricks work together. Is what are they reaching across something? And then another line follow up or something like that. They're reaching across the aisle to kick your ass or something like that, or to shove it up your ass or something about asses and reaching across the aisle, something like that. He's really clever. He's funnier than I am. But yeah, and you see this, right? Especially this sort of neocon foreign policy consensus. Dear Lord, it's nuts. Yeah, absolutely right. It says, want to be politically homeless? Be steadfastly anti-war. You lost fair-weathered friends real quick. Oh my God, I tell you. No, it's really true. It is really, really true. And I'll do the same thing. Like when I go into, and I mean nowadays the right is comparatively anti-war, but only comparatively, because you still have people with a lot of influence, like Lindsey Graham or Bill Kristol, who are like the most rabid warmongers in this country's history. who are just soaked with innocent blood, who still somehow are respectable. You know, it's awful. And Kevin says, not this right-winger. I can't stand warmongering neocons. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of Bill Crystal, if you haven't seen it, Detrick, if in particular, I would look up Scott Horton. He is he's not like formally educated or anything. He's self-educated, but he knows basically all there is to know about the Middle East and U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, especially. And he recently did a debate, a live Oxford-style debate with Bill Crystal, and ripped him apart. It was amazing. And he was mean, too. He was very consistently pointing out not just the foreign policy, like, faults and mistakes that Crystal and people who listened to him made, but not just the mistakes, but the crimes, the horrible things they did to countless innocent people, and the absolutely nothing that our country got in return. And in a bunch of post-debate interviews that he did with a few different people, he was like, man, I'm glad I wasn't really mean. Because I really wanted to be really mean. And I was just listening to these interviews like, no, Scott, you beat this guy to within an inch of his life, rhetorically speaking. It was brutal. But I understand that he wanted to be, and he absolutely could have been a lot meaner with somebody like Bill Crystal, who really was one of the major architects of all of the wars for the last 2 decades. Like, all of my adult life, and then some, you know? Like, yeah. It was a fantastic debate. If you haven't seen it, if you want, you can just search Scott Horton, Bill Crystal debate. Or I know Reason TV has it on their channel, and it's through the Soho forum, SOHO. So you can find it there, or after the stream. I'll put it in the description if you want to see it. If you haven't found it, it was phenomenal. It was like an hour and a half long or so, give or take. But it was absolutely worth watching. Oh yeah, Kevin, you got to see it. You absolutely have to see it. And it's an Oxford-style debate, which means that the audience was polled before and after. Or do you agree, disagree, or neutral? And there is an official winner declared based on how many minds are changed. Right? So how many people go from yes to no, no to yes, undecided to one or the other way. And Crystal lost supporters by the end of it, which is very rare in a debate like this, I think. Either he lost supporters or he didn't really gain any. But Scott Horton went from something like 70 or so, like low 70s for, to well over 90. He gained 20% of the audience, already having 70% in agreement with his position. It was insane. He did so well in that debate. And like when this was announced, because this whole thing was announced before the pandemic and before the world ended, you know, they had already started arranging it and such. And so like when it was first announced, there were a lot of like libertarian types, because Scott's a libertarian. I think he's actually in the party at this point. I'm not sure. But there were a lot of like libertarian stuff like going at Bill Crystal on Twitter. It's like, oh man, you don't know what's coming. This guy's gonna kick your ass. You don't know what you're getting into. And a bunch of libertarians were just like, hey, guys, stop it. If you keep doing this, he's gonna know what's coming and he's gonna back out of it. Let this happen. And oh my god, I'm so glad that it happened. So glad that this happened. It was so good. It was another like. It was legitimately another, maybe not as widespread. It didn't have the same audience, but it was another like Ron Paul, Rudy Giuliani moment from like 2008, which oddly was not. I hate admitting this, Detrick. You can just unsubscribe right now. But back then, in 2008, I was in high school, so forgive me. I took Giuliani's side in that moment. I was like, how dare this guy insinuate that we're responsible for for the terrorists. That's siding with the enemy, and the whole Giuliani line. And I was a horrifying neocon way back in the day, until like 2010 or so. That's when I turned it around, and then gradually I developed my current ideological position in like 2013-ish, and I haven't really changed since, really. I waffle back and forth on the death penalty here and there, that's about all.
The word Kunari, is that the race or the religion?
Both. Kind of. The humans and elves who follow the Qun are the Vidathari. The Kunari who break away from the Qun are Talvasha, deserters.
What about Kunari who existed before the Qun?
The people we came from. They're called the Kossith, but we don't use that word for the race.
Oh.
We came south to Thedas because the Kossith were... I don't know. We had to leave. The stories aren't clear. But I don't expect they look much like us. Whatever they are.
So we had to leave. So they kicked you out for being crazy communist religious extremists. Got it. Got it.
Do you ever think about what would happen if the Kunari conquered Orlais or Ferelden?
Some folks, like Cassandra or Cullen, would do fine if they didn't die fighting. Those two love rules. But the mages... Can you imagine Solus trying his fade dreaming under the Qun? Or Vivian doing her political bullshit? Both Sarah and Varric would mouth off until they ended up re-educated. Drugged until their minds broke.
Right.
So, to answer your question, no. I don't think about it much at all.
Doesn't sound like you're a big fan of this.
See you later, Bull.
See ya.
Which is really the only reason I'm remotely okay with Iron Bull is because he's not like a doctrinaire Kunari.
What can I do for you?
Can we talk about the Bull's charges?
Best company you'll find from here to the Anderfells. In my time with the Chief, we've gone up against everything from bandits to magic trees. We're
Been there.
expensive, but you'll never doubt we're worth it. Want to know anything in particular?
Do the charges specialize in anything from a tactical standpoint?
Bull doesn't want us large enough to work as an army. We're better as shock troops to skirmishers. We've got archers for hitting enemy infantry, Dalish with more archery, and Skinner and Hawke on the flanks. Rocky handles fortifications and traps, and Stitches keeps us all fighting. They mostly hold back. I'll lead the frontline fighters with Grim, and the Chief goes wherever he can hit something.
All right.
We'll talk later.
I'm a little bit disappointed that there isn't more to do with the Chargers. Like, you don't actually get to like command or lead them into battle or anything. It's just they exist. And you know that they exist, and that's kind of it. Especially with so much work that goes into their like character design and everything.
The chant of light.
Yeah.
Only
Oh
the
well.
word dispels the darkness upon it.
Anything we need to know. Kevin says, that's crazy how you and I switched from neocon to libertarian at roughly the same time. Really? Yeah, because for me it was really what started the switch for me was when I got to college. I was at Stetson University, this tiny little private school, where, and it's in like north central Florida, so like between Daytona and Orlando, where it's in the middle of absolutely nowhere. And if you know anything about sort of northern, especially rural Florida, there were the college Republicans, there were the college Libertarians, and there was the college Democrat. There was literally one person in the college Democrats club. And so I basically had the choice. Okay, I want to be politically involved. It's kind of who I am. It's what I do. So do I join the Libertarians or do I join the college Republicans? The college Republicans were the left-wingers on the campus, comparatively. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. I guess I can hang out with the Libertarian people. They're pretty cool. I mean, they're like pot, and that's kind of degenerate nonsense, but okay, fine. Remember, I was kind of a right-winger thinking, but also they were super laissez-faire. They were all free market stuff. They all love Ronald Reagan stuff. And I was like, man, this is great. But they were also weirdly anti-war. I'm like, wait, this doesn't seem right. Something's off about this. And gradually, as I transferred to USF and I got more politically involved, Young Americans for Liberty then, I got involved in the the campaign for governor for a guy named Alex Snitker. No, for Senate campaign for a guy named Alex Snitker, who he got me in touch with a lot of literature and such. Personally, like I worked with the guy really closely on his campaign, and he's fantastic. And that's when I really took a nice deep dive into the ideology, into the literature, learning about libertarian theory, and going for it, and really taking it seriously, and taking my political ideas seriously, rather than just saying, yeah, I'm a Republican. The Republicans are the good guys, like America, right? America's the good guys, that kind of thing. And I moved past that.
Has Cassandra spoken to you about my new recruits?
And then I gradually learned more and more as I went through. I was the president of our chapter of Young Americans for Liberty, senior year-ish, that sort of thing. Worked with the state chair, and the state organization, and the national organization. Eventually, my last little holdout, which is what it is for most people towards anarchy, was what's it called, like judicial theory, right? What are we going to do about law enforcement and police and courts, that sort of thing. And what really got me over the hill was a talk at a Young Americans for Liberty conference from Jeffrey Tucker. And I wish I could find this recording, because it's what pushed me over the edge. And it was about his book, his current book at the time, his latest book was A Beautiful Anarchy. Let me write this down so I can remember to put it in the description. And he pointed out that everything we do is already anarchic. Basically, everything we do is voluntary, is absent state power. And that we can figure out all of these infinitely complex things. How in the world could we not figure out what? Adjudication? Self-defense? Everything the state touches, it ruins. Everything that the state doesn't touch, we thrive. And that was basically his thesis of it. And I was sold. And that was it. I was sold. It was a kind of a justification for faith. Let's put it that way. It was great. And that was really just kind of what pushed me over that edge. And that's more or less where I've been since. Minor developments and such, but not too much more, really. Will says I switched in 2017, but that's because I'm younger. True, I'm oldish. I'm 30, if anyone doesn't know that. Kevin says I switched in my first semester of college. Getting a criminal justice degree, found Ron Paul, found the Austrian school on YouTube. Within a year, I got out of the program because I didn't believe I could do police work, honestly. Good. I mean, you've got to do what you got to do with a clean conscience. And there are some people who can do police work honestly, but they're either unjust and wrong, right? And they can do it honestly because they are, or deluded, that sort of thing, but whatever, it's similar. Or the very rare types who will go against the mainline culture of policing. They don't tend to last long, though. Detrick, going back to this. Playing as a Talbot, Bull's dialogue in Haven is so passive-aggressive. Oh god, I bet. In 10 or so, I was a moderate Republican with focus on economics to counter my my OWS friends. Oh man, I almost forgot about Occupy Wall Street. That was a fun time. Yeah, that's kind of the route that moved me towards libertarianism. Like, I hated the smelly hippies in Occupy Wall Street because I was a Republican, and I realized that the reason that they were wrong was economics, and that led me towards libertarianism. Will says I got disillusioned with the left pretty early on, mostly because education here is completely dominated by it. Paulo Freire style of social pedagogy in Brazil is state enforced pretty much. There's a good movement of sort of Mises Institute folks in Brazil. Not as much as in is it Argentina, where it's like almost a majority in a lot of universities. But from what I've been hearing, see if you can get involved with the Mises Institute. I know they do a lot of outreach in Brazil, a lot of stuff in there. He says, Will says, but neocons seem to converge with the Brazilian left's way of thinking in several ways, legislative, economic policy especially, so to me it didn't seem right. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean... I tend to sometimes forget that the neocon economic policy is basically just socialism, but it's nationalist. Which is ironically very similar to the populist economic policy of protectionism, which you'll see on the left and the right. So it's, for all Bernie Sanders' anti-establishment talk, he's very, very much in support of the establishment narrative and the establishment plan. Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, same thing. At least campaigning-wise. Trump governed a little differently than he campaigned better, I think, but I digress. Detrick continued, sorry, as I matured, my views basically mutated into something between national corporation and national capitalism. I respect libs though. I get that. And like I said, that's kind of the populist position, I guess I would say. That it is nationally based. It is there's a kind of national solidarity, to put it in a positive light, that a lot of let's broadly say globalists, and I'll include a lot of libertarians in that, can overlook and can neglect. Somebody who you might like, Detrick, is another libertarian who you might like is Jeff Deist. Who's really about localism. Localism is his big thing, and localist solidarity. I hate to say nationalism, because it's not quite, because I mean his view on the matter is I think correct. I take something similar, that our nation, of at least of the US, is way too big to have any kind of national unity, any kind of national solidarity to it. We're an empire, not a nation state. And that winds up being problematic for these sorts of national unity type things. You can have civic nationalism, kind of, but we're not a people. We're not a nation in that sense. In the sense that we can actually work together on anything, especially just because we're so culturally and also politically diverse and divergent. Will said, just a bunch of people trying to find different ways to oppress their political opponents. Yeah. All right. So the Inquisition is in its infancy. Building an organization such as like building an army, you need soldiers, need stuff. Okay, got it. Grey Warden treaties, useful. No, not a blight, but there's a hole in the sky. Consider it, Warden Blackwall. Josephine says this could work. The blight has been 10 years past, and Thetis remembers how we were saved. It can use the treaties, leverage goodwill owed the Wardens, and use it for the Inquisition. Sure. Got gold, got griffin robes. That's correct. Spreading the word the Inquisition was allied with Grey Wardens meant messages to support poured in. The treaties in hand, we managed to secure new recruits, donations of both gold and equipment. The commander will make good use of them. Cool. Very cool. Erica, kill it. There's another one. What are these things? Why? Why on my goofy little stream? We can do these eventually. There's stuff to do on the storm coast, and then there's also the swamp. But let's not for now. So we can either do In Hushed Whispers, which is siding with the mages, or technically we could do Champions of the Just, which is siding with the Templars. I don't think I want to do that. The Templar quest is really cool, and there's a really neat, unique boss enemy, and there's a major plot point that otherwise doesn't get revealed until much later, but this quest is still better in Hushed Whispers. And it gives us the much cooler secondary antagonist. Oh gosh, spam the moment Michael escapes. Of course it is. Alright, let's do it. Choosing the mages will make it impossible to work with the Templars. That's fine. I don't care, I don't like the Templars. Redcliffe Castle, the mages who would close the breach are under the control of Magister Garion Alexius, a Venatori cultist with an unhealthy interest in Trevelyan and the power to reorder time itself. He was kindly invited, Trevelyan, to the castle alone to negotiate. It's an obvious trap, of course. But Liliana and her agents can infiltrate the castle and remove the Venatori threat while Alexius' attention is diverted. A dangerous game. but it's our best chance.
We don't have the manpower to take the castle. Either we find another way in, or give up this nonsense and go and get the Templars.
Redcliffe is in the hands of a Magister. This cannot be allowed to stand.
The letter from Alexius
That is true.
asked for the Herald of Andraste by name.
If we don't
It's
get
an
their help,
obvious
this is going to be a
trap.
huge threat. So on the one hand, if we don't do anything about this, a Magister cultist with an army of rebel mages is going to be a huge threat to deal with. But yes, also, obvious trap.
Isn't that kind of him? What does Alexius say about me?
He's so complimentary that we are certain he wants to kill you. Not this again.
Redcliffe
Love
Castle
it.
is one of the most defensible fortresses in Ferelden. It has repelled thousands of assaults. If you go in there, you'll die, and we'll lose the only means we have of closing these rifts. I won't allow it.
And if we don't even try to meet Alexius, we lose the mages and leave a hostile foreign power on our doorstep.
Even if we could assault the keep, it would be for naught. An Orlesian Inquisition's army marching into Ferelden would provoke a war. Our hands are tied.
Great.
The Magister
Has outplayed us.
Kevin says, what's the libertarian solution to the spammers, to the thought bots, you mean? Well, I mean, the obvious solution is what we're doing right now, deleting and banning them. There are mechanisms for doing that, and poof, all set. There's also, like, there's other technological solutions as well. Things like, you remember a while ago when there was that big problem of, like, cold calls, like spam calls, phone calls? And then suddenly a bunch of, most phone providers were like, okay, we'll just block these numbers in particular. It will not let them use, it will not let them use our network if they keep spamming, or if they're reported for spamming. Kind of worked. Not stopped working, because I get robot calls all the time now. Really, but I can still block the numbers quite effectively and efficiently. Oh my god, another one. What is this? Oh, okay. So Kevin says to them more generally in society, their sort of work. Ostracize them. Make fun of them. You've been doing a good job of that, by the way. Whenever they show up, you do a fairly good job of questioning their attractiveness, which is really probably the case. These are not, I'm sure these are horrifying individuals, whether outside or inside or both. In any case, just brutally make fun of them. Will says we unleash our own bots and let the free competition determine which is superior. Listen, conservative women are consistently hotter. That's just statistical fact. So, I mean, we could do it, but I don't know. Oh, we thought you were talking about these bots. I mean, the bots in particular, but like in general, thoughterry, I think. Honestly, social ostracism, shame. They're out in forts tonight, Erica says. Yeah, they sure are. You've banned, what, 4 of them? 5? But yeah, social ostracism, bullying. I've put it in. I have recommended it before, but another favorite comedian of mine, the recently deceased Trevor Moore, had a great comedy song, I guess, musical comedy bit, called Bullies. And he's talking about how recently-ish, within the last 10, 20 years, we as a society have basically made bullying, we've stigmatized bullying. We've bullied the bullies out of society. And have you noticed that since then, rampant degeneracy has gone crazy? Because frickin' weirdos don't get bullied anymore. It used to be that you had to kind of conform to something like social norms. At least something like social norms. But now, with a combination of the stigma attached to bullying, but then also online niche communities, honestly like this one to be fair, but self-criticism is fine. you don't get the kind of social pressure that you used to be normal, broadly speaking. Erica, I'm not going to clap, but she says sex work is not real work. Yeah, no, I agree. Tom Woods, another fantastic libertarian theorist and thinker, had a great comparison to the people who are, at this point, the sort of left libertarians for the most part, the wokest libertarians who are constantly screeching about normalized sex work, that sort of thing. He had a great example, a great analogy that none of them are actually able to counter. They just whine about it. And he points out that, okay, if sex work ought to be normalized, then that means that rape is morally equivalent to forced labor. So his example was, then there's no difference between raping someone and forcing them to give you skiing lessons. Because it's providing a service, right? That's all. It's real work, right? It's work. So if you force somebody to give you skiing lessons against their will, then if they don't want to do it, then that's the same as raping somebody. And everyone acknowledges that that's radically different. So of course we should acknowledge that work and sex are completely radically different. Because of course we do. Of course we acknowledge that. We all know this. But some people convince themselves otherwise because it's the politically correct statement. Kevin says, I've noticed my online circles, there really is a strong community of extremely mean dudes who will berate people mercilessly for being coomers. Good on them. Good on them. I think that's necessary, or at least helpful. And it probably is helpful, too. You know? No, not necessarily. I mean, maybe you're secure enough in your convictions that your weirdness is fine, and maybe your weirdness is fine. And that means that you're probably a little more likely to be secure in your convictions. But if that's the case, then cool, you're good. You don't have to worry about being bullied, but you should be for some things.
We
See what
can't
we can
just
do
give
here.
up. There has to be something we can do.
We cannot accept defeat now. There must be a solution.
Yeah, Kevin says I used the term work incorrectly. Yeah, technically, yeah. I mean, service in exchange for money, I suppose. It's hard to call it a service, technically, but customers consider it a service, so in economic terms, I guess it is.
Other than the main gate, there's got to be another way into the castle. A sewer? A watercourse? Something.
There's nothing I know of that.
Liliana knows one.
Wait.
Aha!
There is a secret passage into
That's
the
too
castle.
loud, sorry.
An escape route for the family. It's too narrow for our troops, but we could send agents through.
Too risky. Those agents will be discovered well before they reach the Magister.
That's why we need a distraction. Perhaps the envoy Alexius wants so badly.
Focus their attention on Trevelyan, while we take out the Tevinters. It's risky, but it could work.
Fortunately, you'll have help.
Well, welcome.
This man says he has information about the Magister and his methods, Commander.
Welcome, I guess.
Your spies will never get past Alexius's magic without my help. So if you're going after him, I'm coming along.
The plan puts you in the most danger. We can't in good conscience order you to do this. We can still go after the Templars if you'd rather not play the bait. It's up to you.
Let's do it. Yeah, we already read this, so yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I think we can probably finish this. Well, we're bringing Dorian because we have to. We can bring Vivienne and Cassandra. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Chant for the departed. The light shall lead her safely through the paths of the world into the next, for she who trusts in the Maker, fire is her water. The moths... Oh, darn it. What a flamboyant entrance, Erica says. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, flamboyant is definitely the word to describe Dorian. Definitely. For multiple reasons.
Announce us.
The Magister's invitation was for Mistress Trevelyan alone. The rest will wait here.
They have to accompany me. You wouldn't deprive me of my attachés, would you?
This is very Gandalf and his staff. You wouldn't deprive a young woman of her attachés, would you?
My Lord Magister, the agents of the Inquisition have arrived.
My friend,
Big
it's
pants.
so good to see you again. And your associates, of course. I'm sure we can work out some arrangement that is equitable to all parties.
Are we mages to have no voice in deciding our fate?
Fiona, you would not have turned your followers over to my care if you did not trust me with their lives.
Of course she'd trust you, Alexius. I'm sure lots of people put their lives in your hands. You have one of those faces.
Yes, the Magisterium tells me that so often. Shall we begin our talks?
Kevin says, oh, at times I've been in a public setting. Oh, hold on.
The breach, and I have them. So, what shall you offer in exchange?
Kevin says, at times I've been in a public setting where lewd discussions were being had, and someone would ask me what I think, and I tell them. Talk about awkward silence. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I'll do that. I've done that sort of thing, and that's why I wasn't terribly popular, especially my freshman year in college. Because it was a bunch of spoiled rich kids who were all on various kinds of, drugs, doing their college freshman stuff, and all that kind of stuff. And I was not terribly popular. For basically that reason. I was the wet blanket on their degenerate fun.
Actually, I hoped you could tell me about these Venatori I'm hearing so much about.
Now, where could you have heard that name?
I told her.
Felix, what have you done?
Oh boy.
Your son is concerned that you're involved in something terrible.
So speaks the thief. Do you think you can turn my
thief?
son against me? You walk into my
Sable
stronghold
hates
with
that
your
word.
stolen mark, a gift you don't even understand, and think you're in control.
You know how much Sable hates that word? Right, Erica?
You're nothing but a mistake.
That's rude.
If I'm a mistake, what exactly was the breach supposed to accomplish?
It was to be a triumphant moment for the Elder One. For this world.
Father, listen to yourself. Do you know what you sound like?
He sounds exactly like the sort of villainous cliché everyone expects us to be.
Dorian.
Perfect.
I gave you a chance to be a part of this. You turned me down. The Elder One has power you would not believe. He will raise the Imperium from its own...
I love the lampshade on their mustache twirling, so to speak, villainy.
That's who you serve? The one who killed the Divine? Is he a mage?
Soon he will become a god. He will make the
Okay.
world bow to mages once more. We will rule from the Boric Ocean to the frozen seas.
You can't involve my people in this.
Alexius, this is exactly what you and I talked about never wanting to happen. Why would you support this?
Stop it, Father. Give up the Venatori. Let the Southern Mages
Oh,
fight
Eric
the
is
breach,
bad.
and let's go home.
No, it's the only way, Felix. He can save you.
Sable
Save me.
is an expert adventurer.
There is
Not a
a
thief.
way. The Elder One promised if I undo the mistake at the temple.
I'm going to die. You need to accept that.
Seize them, Venatori. The Elder One demands this woman's life.
Convenient.
Your men are dead, Alexius.
You are a mistake. You should never have existed.
No!
Timey-wimey time. So to fill in the blanks here, Sable, the character that we were playing here as the Inquisitor, as Trevelyan, is Erica's D&D character, who is a rogue, a thief subclass. Rogue.
Blood of the Elder One. Where'd they come from?
Magic. Oh, wait. Dorian, you don't have a lot of health.
Interesting. It's probably not what Alexius intended. The rift must have moved us to what? The closest confluence of arcane energy?
The last thing I remember, we were in the castle hall.
Let's see. If we're still in the castle, it isn't. Oh, of course, it's not simply where, it's when. Alexius used the amulet as a focus. It moved us through time.
So, Sable, being a thief rogue, technically by class, I have a thing set up of an adventurers league, basically an adventurers guild, where your class and such a role written down on an official record, and she's officially a thief rogue. She hates both terms, and has tried to sign up as an expert adventurer, which is what she calls herself. Because she doesn't like the stigma attached to thief, because she would never steal from people. She would just, loot bad guys. Different. Never steal from people. That's evil and illegal and stuff. So she's an expert adventurer. So anyway, the whole, he called her a thief. Anger. Sable angry.
Did we go forward in time or back, and how far?
Those are excellent questions. We'll have to find out, won't we? Let's look around, see where the rift took us. Then we can figure out how to get back. If we can.
It would have been fun if this had sent us back in time to the events of Dragon Age Origins, when the hero for Elden were here. That would have been really neat. Didn't happen, but it would be cool.
Alexius mentioned an Elder One in the hall. Do you know who he was talking about?
And so do those soldiers we just killed.
Leader of the Venatori, I suspect. Some magister aspiring to godhood. It's the same old tune. Let's play with magic we don't understand. It will make us incredibly powerful. Evidently, it doesn't matter if you rip apart the fabric of time in the process.
What was Alexius trying to do?
I believe his original plan was to remove you from time completely.
What?
If that
How?
happened, you would never have been at the Temple of Sacred Ashes or mangled his Elder One's plan. I think your surprise in the castle hall made him reckless. He tossed us into the rift before he was ready. I counted it. The magic went wild, and here we are. Make sense?
No.
It just seems so insane.
I don't even want to think about what this will do to the fabric of the world. We didn't travel through time so much as punch a hole through it and toss it into the privy. Don't worry. I'm here. I'll protect you.
Oh, thanks.
There were others in the hall. Could they have been drawn through the rift?
I doubt it was large enough to bring the whole room through. Alexius wouldn't risk catching himself or Felix in it. They're probably still where and when we left them. In some sense, anyway.
Kevin asked, do you recommend the novels for this game series? I have actually not read them. I read I forget which one it was, the collection of short stories, the recent one. But the other ones, the actual novels proper, I actually haven't. I've heard very good things about them. I know they are well written, especially for game tie-in kind of novels. I think it really comes down to, do you like the world and do you like the characters? Because a lot of the characters, the side characters, do show up. Fiona is in Stolen Throne, which is the one about Loghain and the former king of Ferelden. Again, something I've heard good things about that one. That one in particular is very good. It really gives a lot more insight into Logain's character if you're interested in him from the first game, especially. But it's. I think it really comes down to, do you enjoy the world? Is this a compelling setting for you? Because they are well written, but they do function as sort of world building more than anything else. Detrick says the Masked Empire is really good. That's another one I haven't read, I think, right? That's not the... I forget what the Collection of Short Stories one was. I forget. That one I've read. Most of it? I forget. I might not have read all of them. I forget which one the Masked Empire is, though.
You have a plan to get us back, I hope.
I have some thoughts on that. They're lovely thoughts.
Will agrees Masked Empire is great? Okay. Maybe I gotta look into it then. Oh, a prison gate. Okay, so let's level up Dorian so he doesn't die. Oh my god. Yeah, he needs barrier. We should give him lightning. Because we have a fire, we have an ice. Need storm magic for Dorian. Energy barrage is really good. Asunder was pretty good too. Okay. Static Cage is amazing. Energy barrage is pretty great. Wait. Massive damage from Energy Storm. Yeah, let's do that. More magical energy to expand. Maybe. Lightning Bolt is nice. Also, CC. More damage if they're under... Ooh, that's pretty good. Okay, that's good too. Snag Charge. Let's do Static Cage. Cool. That'll do it. All right. Kevin says, the stream has piqued my interest in the series. I never played Dragon Age. Like I've said, I mean, you've seen me play them, so you know what you're getting into, but I really like the series. The games are very well written, and I like them more so as... more so in terms of their story and their writing, even more so than gameplay. I like the gameplay for the most part. It is still really good, because it's a solid, it is a very solid CRPG. But at the same time, I think that the more interesting part is still the story in the world. It's also a dark fantasy, which I don't usually go for as much as the more high fantasy type of thing. But I don't know. I like it. It's the actual game world is very immersive and very in depth and very nicely meticulously crafted. And it also, I will say, another big part of it that I appreciate is that it takes religion very seriously. There you go, for example.
My sins, Andraste guide me, Andraste guide me.
What did they do to you?
Andraste blessed me, Andraste blessed me.
Red lyrium everywhere. That's troubling. The bad guy up there. Howdy, friend. Yeah, Rogue is pretty powerful, I gotta say, damage-wise. Pretty good for straight damage. Alright, okay, so, wait. I want to backtrack, because there are things that we missed. Wait a minute. Yeah, this whole side. We missed some. So let's go back. There's some other stuff that we missed. Let's go back real quick. This shouldn't take long, I hope. Yeah, the red lyrium... Oh, no, we didn't. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did, because we gotta go that way. This is probably stuff over there. Yeah, up that way. What's this? Oh, that's where we came from. Okay. Dorian, move. All right.
Alexius has made a dreadful mess of this place, hasn't he?
I didn't see this part of the castle.
It was covered in the tackiest carvings of wolves and dogs I'd ever seen. This is not an improvement.
I mean, it is Ferelden. The dog lords of Ferelden and all that. The Mabari is kind of their national animal sort of thing, so that makes sense. Eventually you get armor and weapons and stuff that you can use that do things like generate guard and generate barriers for you that help with your defense. Rather than having to have a mage do it, or having to have a tank who is the only one who can do defensive barriers. So all this. And not where I want to go.
The light shall lead her safely through the paths of this world and into the next.
Oh.
For she who trusts in the Maker, fire is her water.
Oh, it's that lament. Cassandra? Oh my.
You've returned to us. Can it be? Has Andraste given us another chance? Maker, forgive me. I failed you. I failed everyone. The end must truly be upon us if the dead return to life.
I'm not back from the dead, Cassandra. I just got... Well, this is hard to explain.
Yeah.
I was there. The Magister obliterated you with a gesture.
Alexius sent us forward in time. If we find him, we may be able to return to the present.
Go back in time. Then, can you make it so that none of this ever took place?
If Dorian is right and can actually reverse the spell, then yes.
Alexius is master. After you died, we could not stop the Elder One from rising. Empress Celine was murdered. The army that swept in afterwards, it was a horde of demons. Nothing stopped them. Nothing.
We'll stop all that from happening. I promise.
Army of demons,
Maker,
Celine,
guide us
Celine assassinated. Okay. List of things that we need to stop. Got it.
What is this supposed to be? A pretend rescue to gain my trust? Do you think I'd fall for that?
Who wouldn't fall for that? No, it's really me.
It's no trick, Vivienne. It's me. I'm here to help you.
You were obliterated. I was there. You can drop this pathetic ruse.
No trick, I'm afraid. Alexius accidentally sent us through time.
He sent you to this time? Was that meant to be a fate worse than death?
What happened? You don't look well.
Red Lyrian, darling. It's killing me. Don't worry your pretty head about it. So, lead on. Anywhere is better than this place.
Alexius locked himself in the throne room. That is where we'll find him.
Let's see. What's this? Find out what happened. Gotta be something over there. All right, let's go see that before we go upstairs or anything. Not back this way. Wait, what? I'm lost. Ooh, hold on. Oh. No? Now I'm really lost. Hold on. What's going on here? Oh, we are going back upstairs. Okay. Okay. No more cells. Wait. What? What's this? Oh, okay. No, it's just telling us to go further upstairs. I got it. All right. I love that the quest is still just find out what happened. It's all very mysterious. Hold on. I need to give Dorian that lightning staff if I got one. That's lightning? Fire. Nah, his is better. The igneous. Yeah, nah, that's better. Darn. Oh, not appropriate level. Griffin robes. Does that look on Vivienne? Awful. That's how. Gives you strength and willpower. That's yeah, that's pretty good. He doesn't have his usual look about him though. I don't know. That seems very him though. Uh-oh. Another robot. Another evil robot. Bot. Spammer. Thingy. Wait, that's it? Did this really just take me the wrong... Oh. Oh, my.
You're alive. I saw you disappear into the rift.
Is that red lyrium growing from your body? How?
The longer you're near it, eventually you become this. Then they mine your corpse for more.
Ugh.
Can you tell us the date? It's very important.
Harvest Mir. 942 Dragon.
942? Then we've missed an entire year.
We have to get out of here. Go back in time.
Please, stop this from happening. Alexius serves the Elder One, more powerful than the Maker. No one challenges him and lives.
That sounds... I'm skeptical.
I promise I will do everything in my power to set things right.
Oh my god, Detrick says, wow, Fiona's really between a rock and a hard place, isn't she?
If it still exists,
yes.
I can use it to reopen the rift at the exact spot we left. Maybe.
Good.
I said, maybe. It might also turn us into paste.
You must try.
It's worth a shot.
Spy Master, Leliana. She is here. Find her. Quickly. Before the Elder One learns you're here.
By the way, if I'm not mistaken, that's Alistair's mother. If I'm not mistaken. We learned that in Stolen Throne. In the book that I didn't read, but I know the story of.
This red lyrium is an infection. Why is it coming out of the walls?
Are you sure you want to find out?
Have mercy on their souls.
I'm sure Alexius would be delighted to see us.
I mean, in addition to the joke, she's very clearly maddeningly desperate. And honestly, given that she is both literally and figuratively between a rock and a hard place, it's hard to blame her. A prayer to the new god, praise his name who is risen from the darkness, praise his name who is striven for the light, praise his name who has walked the golden city, praise his name. The old gods are no more, the maker never was, the new god is among us, praise his name. Walked among the golden city, huh? Wonder who that could be. That's interesting, all right. That's very interesting. Oof. A mage who has grown us some red lyrium. Remember Varric said, don't touch it. Okay, so things are shitty for the guards too. That's reasonable and understandable. God, I'm getting a lot of bows that I don't need. Can I open this? Yes, I can. Nice. It's weird not taking Varric on this mission. I usually do because I need a rogue. But I am a rogue. So I don't need to worry about it. Ooh, lightning staff. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dorian needs that. Lightning staff. Oh, and it's better, too. Ooh, that looks cool. That looks really cool. It's pointy. Let's see about this armor. Anything? No. Anything? Nah, his is better anyway, and that looks ridiculous. Doesn't look good. Alright. Good enough for now. Let's keep going. Wait, we need to find Liliana. She's up here, right? I assume we're not going the wrong way.
There is no maker. The Elder One has taken all that is his and will soon rule from his city.
That still doesn't make him a god.
Oh! There is no god but the Elder One. The Maker is dead. Say it.
The Elder One is particularly hard on the Chantry.
Ooh, sweet, leveled up. Ooh, dead Chantry. Sure. Yeah. I can see why the Elder would be hard on the Chantry. It is the whole... There is a threat to their ideology, basically. Let's see about that... that dagger. It's not actually better than what I have. It's got a corrupting rune, though. Which means damage versus living. Ooh, that's not bad. It's actually not bad at all. Very choppy. Plus 20%. No, it's still not as good as my crafted ones. Guess I'm sticking with the crafted ones. Don't need that, don't need that. Actually, I can give this to Dorian, I guess, because he doesn't have a belt. What is this? Dagger and hit. Vivienne can use that. He's gonna use that eventually, so I might as well. That is still... I'll wear it, I suppose. And let's level up. Let's do dagger stuff. Instead of, what does that mean? Instead of moving in to make the kill, you favor fresh opponents with Deathblow. I'm gonna go with the massive damage. No, maybe not. Hold on. Yes, I am. I am gonna go with the massive damage bonus. And then the cooldown thing. Cool. Alright. Anyway. Let's go find Liliana.
How did Trevelyan know of the sacrifice at the temple? Answer!
Never.
You will break.
I will die first. Or you will. You're alive.
She doesn't look good, like at all.
You're safe now.
Forget safe. If you came back from the dead, you need to do better than safe. You need to end this. Do you have weapons? Good. The Magister's probably in his chambers.
You aren't curious how we got here?
No.
Alexius sent us into the future. This, his victory, his Elder One, it was never meant to be.
If we get back to the present and stop Alexius, then you'll never have to go through this.
And mages always wonder why people fear them. No one should have this
His
power.
point.
It's dangerous and unpredictable.
Yeah, well, Liliana's looking terrible. Yeah.
Nothing we did.
Enough. This is all pretend to you. Some future you hope will never exist.
Lyrium's a hell of a drug. Yeah.
The whole world suffered. It was real.
A key, I think.
What happened while we were away?
Stop talking.
I'm just asking for information.
No, you're talking to fill silence. Nothing happened that you want to hear.
I mean, to be fair, it would be useful to know more about what happens so we can act directly to prevent it.
I'm sure he'll be in the nicer part of the castle, if there is one.
Make it take you!
I think Kevin says she needs some protein. Yeah, I think so. And, you know, to travel back in time and not have all this happen, that would help. Alright, close it up. But yeah, I do think protein would probably help with her situation. At least as best I understand, you know, what happens when you're tortured endlessly for a year. I think protein would help with that sort of thing. What about that ring? Let's give that to somebody. Actually, Barrier penetration, life drain, flanking. Flanking damage bonus. Yeah, let's do that instead of barrier penetration. And let's give barrier penetration to Dorian. And belt focus. No one uses that. Okay, cool. All right, hopefully we'll be able to finish this in the next half hour. I think so. I'm willing to go a little bit late, like I did Monday, if it means we can finish this quest. I was concerned that we were going to finish the next quest and get to Skyfall early tonight, but not at all. Not even close.
Come forward.
This is madness.
Yes.
Alexius can't have wanted this.
There is a dock down here. That's kind of crazy. Oh, come on. There we go. Brilliant staff. Hmm? Okay. You know, I should have healed everyone, but whatever. It'll be fine.
The breach hits
everywhere.
The Elder One and his Venatori. They are the ones who opened the breach.
Oops, wrong button. Okay. Yeah, the rift is everywhere. Basically, the Fade is in the world, so it would seem. There's floating stuff. Floating islands of magic-y bits and bobs, and none of this is good. None of this is good. Not a good future. Let's stop it. Okay, I think we're fine. We're fine. Pop. Okay, there we go. Man, that's a lot of demons. Okay. Anything back here? No. Okay, moving on. What's up there? Alright. Let's go. I have to say, this is... There isn't...
I am not a child!
Alexius's journal. Nothing works. I've tried countless times to go back before the Conclave explosion, before the Felix's caravan was attacked by Darkspawn, before the Venatori first arrived in Minrathous. Without success, the breach is the wellspring that makes this magic possible, and travel outside of its timeline is impossible. The Elder One's demand that I change if the events of the Conclave can never be fulfilled. He may kill me for failing him, but I must protect Felix from his wrath. Last entry, huh? So he did fail. That's good. That's good, at least. This is the start.
No!
What was that?
Connor!
It was an act of courage. He knew there was no other way to resist.
He's burnt himself
He chose
alive?
death before falling to a demon. Very brave.
Jeez. That was the son from Origins who we helped. Jeez. Yeah, it's this is the start, I think, of that thematic structure that I've talked about for this game, where everything seems to be
What became of Felix? Do you know?
Yes, I know.
And you're not going to tell me?
You'll find out soon enough.
Where everything seems to be almost fated. Uh-oh. Mommy's mad at the boy. He was causing trouble. I will try and police my own chat. I'll do what I can. I'll keep an eye on it. With lyrium everywhere. But yeah, it's this is the start of that whole everything seems to be working out for the Inquisition. Like, abnormally well. Like, unnaturally, almost miraculously well. Ow! Jeez. Damn it, Dorian. Really? He's a little bit squishy, isn't he? Where is he? I need to pick him back up. Ah, jeez. Where is he? Where'd he go? He's right there. Alright, let's close it first. Then we'll pick him up. But I think this is the start of that trend in this game where everything goes unnaturally, almost miraculously well for the Inquisition and for the Inquisitor.
Alexius will likely be there.
To the point where it seems, to the point where the way I read it, the way I sort of interpret the story, it seems like
His name is that.
a
Hold
potion.
on to it. I want to look at it later.
It seems like we can see the Maker's hand sort of guiding the Inquisition, thwarting the Elder One. Whoever this is, we'll find out gradually and eventually. I need that. But we see it being a kind of... Oh, wait, let's not do this yet. Hold on. Need to find red lyrium shards first. It does actually become important, so let's do it.
Maker's breath. Where did Alexius find this? How did he even move it here?
Can we open it?
Perhaps. But it looks quite strong. How desperate and paranoid must he be? His servants must have a way through. He has to eat. Let's look around.
Okay, so yeah, we do need red lyrium shards. Okay, cool. And I thought so.
Try to take out that enchanter quickly.
Got him.
All off the stairs!
Oh no. Sorry, Kevin.
Really go for some light reading.
Oh no. Sorry, Kevin. You got timed out for a few minutes. It's okay. We forgive you for being a thought. Let us know when you're back. It's okay. It was Michael's fault. Michael got mommy understandably upset. Anyway, so yeah, the oh my god, my inventory's full. Oh my god, really? This is ridiculous. All right, what can I throw out? I don't need that. 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 I don't need the other one either. Okay. Okay, cool. Welcome back. 300 seconds, yes, 5 minutes, so you'll be fine. But sorry. Not back though. All right, that's fine. You'll be around eventually. No forgiving Kevin until 5 minutes is over though. Anyway, so let's move right along. Keep searching for things. Can't believe there was nothing in this room. That's annoying, but move on. No way through there.
What happened here?
Find Alexius. That's all that matters.
Can't get through there either. Jeez.
They haven't seen us. We could take them by surprise.
Missed somebody. Got him. All right.
May Andraste have mercy on your souls. No one else will.
Harsh. I kind of forgot that this quest really has a lot of loot drops, and that you need max inventory space before you do this. Darn. My bad. It doesn't take deft hand to find tools, though. The rogue unlocking upgrade. So that's good news, at least. It's at least something. Oop, come on. Stamina amulet. Nice. Okay. Oh, we were just here. Okay, we were just here. Alright. So we need to go through there. One of these doors. Okay. Armor penetration, that's nice. Got him. Studying the blight. Okay, got them all. That guy's on fire. That's cool. Glad he's on fire. Don't like that guy. Went through there. Anything else in here we're missing? No. Okay. Only need one more lyrium shard, and it's got to be around here somewhere. Basically a key, functionally speaking. Kevin, you're back. Welcome back. Sorry for the mute. There were thoughtbots wandering through, and you got caught in the crossfire. I apologize. It happens from time to time. Oof. Masterwork wave blade. It's kind of cool.
How much damage did Alexius' spell do?
Ref tore apart all of southern Thedas, starting here. But whether that's his doing or the breach, who can say?
We still need one shard. Back here? Modes?
Are they praying? Let's try to take them by surprise.
Oh my. Oh, hey. Ah! Oh, there's a Venatori. Oops.
Doesn't look like the Elder One is interested in saving his followers.
Kevin says, I'm just proud it was an effective thoughtbot mimic. It's true. You gave the impression that you appear physically grotesque, just as they might. I'm kidding, of course. I know you are a beautiful, beautiful man. Dwarf, whatever. Alright, I missed it, I guess. Oh no, I have them all. Okay, I have all of the keys. What amount to keys? Alright, let's do this. Magic door.
Look at what you've done, Alexius. All this suffering. And for what?
For my country, for my son. But it means nothing now. I knew you would appear again. Not that it would be now, but I knew I hadn't destroyed you. My final failure.
Was it worth it? Everything you did to the world, to yourself.
Kevin's just little balls all over hairy knuckles.
All we can do is wait for the end.
That sounds thoughtbotish to me. Yeah, so it sounds right. It sounds about right.
It does matter. I will undo this.
How many times have I tried? The past cannot be undone. All that I fought for, all that I betrayed, and what have I wrought? Ruin and death, that is nothing else. The Elder One comes for me, for you, for us all.
Only who he is.
Felix.
That's Felix. Maker's breath, Alexius. What have you done?
He would have died, Dorian. I saved him. Please, don't
Did
hurt
you?
my son. I'll do anything you ask.
I assume this involved some kind of necromancy or... something
Hand over the
untoward.
amulet and we let him go.
Let him go and I swear you'll get what you want.
I want the world back.
That will do. Oh, jeez. Erica, you back yet? There's another one. Alright, I'll take care of it. Hold on a second. I gotta kill this thing real quick. Hold on. Time out. Okay, I think I have hidden this hotbot. I don't know though, we'll see. Stab'ems. Owie! What happened? Oh god.
Your death will be my apology! Where are your assassins this time?
Doesn't really matter. Damn it. They really are prolific tonight, aren't they, Kevin? Okay, let's close the rift. Back to Alexius. Stupid time magic. Ow.
Your efforts are futile! This world's already lost! One down!
Close her up.
Your death will be my apology!
Ah! Okay, that's not good. Okay, we got him.
He wanted to die, didn't he? All those lies he told himself, the justifications. He lost Felix long ago. Didn't even notice. Oh, Alexius.
This is especially, I think, hard-hitting for Dorian because we find out later he has some daddy issues, as one does when it has his proclivities. You guys know the meme. But yeah. Noge has these 5 things: good math skills, a good relationship with your father. Oh no, poor Dorian. Anyway, moving on.
I know you cared for him.
Once he was a man to whom I compared all others. Sad, isn't it? This is the same amulet he used before. I think it's the same one we made in Minrathous. That's a relief. Give me an hour to work out the spell he used, and I should be able to reopen the rift.
An hour? That's impossible. You must go now.
Why? Oh, maybe that's why. Okay, that makes sense. Got it. Right now. Now is good.
The Elder One.
Alexius was the
master.
We will do whatever it takes to keep them at bay.
I can't let you kill yourself for me. There must be another way.
Look at us. We're already dead. The only way we live is if this day never comes. Cast your spell. You have as much time as I have arrows.
This is fantastic how they get to have, like, great characters do the noble sacrifice thing without the permanent consequences. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, I gotta say.
Though darkness closes, I am shielded by flame.
Demons and Venatori, dead Cassandra.
Maker, take me to your side.
Oof.
You move, and we all die! You'll have to do better than that.
You failed, Alexius. How forgiving is your Elder One?
You won. There is no point extending this charade. Felix.
It's going to be all right, Father.
You'll die.
Everyone dies.
Remember your death, folks. That good old lesson. Not to be so obsessed with your fear of death that you refuse to live or that you destroy a life.
Or not.
Weird bows on their helmets.
Grand Enchanter.
Oh, hi.
We'd like to discuss your abuse
Your
of
Majesty.
our hospitality.
Your Majesties.
When we offered the Mage's Sanctuary, we did not give them the right to drive our people from their homes.
King Alistair, Queen Anora, I assure you, we never intended...
In light of your actions, good intentions are no longer enough.
Uh-oh.
You and your followers have worn out your welcome. Leave Ferelden, or we'll be forced to make you leave.
But we have hundreds who need protection. Where will we go?
The Inquisition might be willing to take in the mages.
And what are the terms of this arrangement?
Hopefully better than what Alexius gave you. The Inquisition is better than that, yes?
I suggest conscripting them. They've proven what they'll do given too much freedom.
We need their skills, but they have proven themselves far from trustworthy.
It seems we have little choice but to accept whatever you offer.
Oh man, this is a hard choice. Sable is very Chantry loyal. Does not particularly trust mages. Sees their plight and feels very bad for them, but they did just side with a Tevinter Magister. Dorian's not going to like this either way. No, we need to conscript them. I don't like the idea of them being... I mean, Sable, I'm sure, doesn't like the idea of them being prisoners either, though. That's the thing. Huh. Nah, Sable's a big softie. we can still keep an eye on them, of course. In Haven. And then eventually wherever we go from there. So, yeah. Yeah, let's go for it. Alliance.
We would be honored to have you fight as allies at the Inquisition's side.
We'll discuss this later.
I pray that the rest of the Inquisition honors your promise then.
The breach threatens all of Thedas. We cannot afford to be divided now. We can't fight it without you. Any chance of success requires your full support.
Oh no, Cassandra greatly disapproves.
I doubt you're going to get a better one from us.
We accept. It would be madness not to. I will gather my people and ready them for the journey to Haven. The breach will be closed. You will not regret giving us this chance.
Okay. Well, we got a we made an alliance with the mages rather than conscripting them or imprisoning them. Hopefully that doesn't bite us in the ass. Sable's still concerned about all this, but also is a big softie. So
it's not a matter for debate. There will be abominations among the mages, and we must be prepared.
Fair point.
If we rescind the offer of an alliance, it makes the Inquisition appear incompetent at best, tyrannical at worst.
What were you thinking, turning mages loose with no oversight? The veil is torn open.
Give them their freedom for now. If they prove later they can't handle it, impose restrictions.
And how many lives will be lost if they fail? With the veil broken, the threat of possession. You were there, Seeker. Why didn't you intervene?
While I may not completely agree with the decision, I support it. The sole point of the Herald's mission was to gain the mage's aid, and that was accomplished.
The voice of pragmatism speaks. And here I was, just starting to enjoy the circular arguments.
Closing the breach is all that matters.
I got a taste of the consequences if we fail. Let's make sure we don't.
We will not fail.
We should look into the things you saw in this dark future. The assassination of Empress Celine. A demon army.
Sounds like something a Tevinter cult might do. Orlais falls, the Imperium rises. Chaos for everyone.
One battle at a
God,
time.
Dorian, take something seriously,
It's going
please.
to take time to organize our troops and the mage recruits. Let's take this to the war room. Join us. None of this means anything without your mark, after all.
Thank you. I'd be honored to help with the plan.
Meet us there when you're ready.
I'll skip the War Council, but I would like to see this breach up close, if you don't mind.
Then you're staying?
Oh, didn't I mention? The South is so charming and rustic. I adore it to little pieces.
I must admit I'm surprised.
We both saw what could happen. What this
Oh my god, another one. What is this?
Not everything from Tevinter is terrible. Some of us have fought for eons against this sort of madness. It's my duty to stand with you. That future will not come to pass.
I think that's the same one. Maybe I need to time it out for longer.
Stay if you must, but you'll be watched.
Watch away. I have nothing to hide, and evidently plenty to prove.
I'll begin preparations to march on the summit. Make her willing, the mages will be enough to grant us victory.
Alrighty then. Well, once we kill that bot,
The Inquisition appreciates
I'll do right
our
now.
assistance in this matter, Lady Corbin. And my miners appreciate your business. You'll have your lyrium by the end of the week.
Oh, nice.
I should tell you, Ambassador, the Chantry raised some fuss when they learned about our arrangement. The Inquisition must certainly seem an audacious idea to the Grand Clerics. We hope to convince them it is a necessary one as well.
All right, before we wrap, let me kill this thoughtbot again. And timeout. Did it work? Timeout. There we go. And report. Report. Not that it'll do anything, but okay. Timeout for a little longer. Anyway, that'll work because we're almost done. Anyway, thank you all for sticking with me this extra little bit of time. We managed to wrap this up. We managed to get the mages as our allies. We managed to undermine these Tevinter Magister bastards. I didn't even get to talk about who I was making fun of with the thumbnail, but it's always next time. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you again for joining me. And I hope to see everyone again back on Monday for more Greedfall, and then back next Thursday once again, right back here for Dragon Age Inquisition. I'm going to wait a little bit to do In Your Heart Shall Burn. It is going to be my goal to finish that up next session, next Thursday, but we're probably going to do some side quests first, just to be sure. We'll see. My goal is to end with that quest. I don't exactly know how long it'll take. We'll have to see, but that's my goal. Anyway, thank you once again for joining me. And I hope to see you all next time, and I hope you have had and will continue to have a very, very Merry Christmas. Good night, everyone.